So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Laura Kuenssberg saying it's over for the Tories, effectively, and that's crazy considering she actually defended Rishi Sunak's decision to leave the D-Day ceremonies early, and now she realises, oh, that wasn't very good, was it? It's almost like she's either really bad at her job or she doesn't do it properly.
It seems to me almost every day the group of people who are still really putting their shoulder to the wheel in this campaign is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. This was something that was the product of a deliberate decision taken some time ago in Downing Street, that the imagery of him being missing from that ceremony would somehow be okay. So to miss the opportunity of being pictured alongside President Biden, alongside military types, that looks like a real blunder. And a cabinet minister said to me, you've got $100 million bill lying on the floor and you don't pick it up.
Right.
Seems to me almost every day the group of people who are still really putting their shoulder to the wheel in this campaign is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And there are more.
And you can see why, like, honestly, when you look at how badly the campaign's been run, like, this is one of probably the worst campaign in the history of the game. The worst campaign that I have ever seen. Have you ever seen a political campaign where you've got the Prime Minister who still has, or the leader of a country who still has months to go before they have to call an election, call the election in the middle of the rain with no umbrella, and then just go out to really bizarre places to campaign and things like that, and then to miss out on one of the big ceremonies? Like, people in this country are obsessed with World War II, and to snub veterans, which is disgusting. And you have, like, one of his biggest cheerleaders here, one of the biggest cheerleaders of the Conservative Party, in my opinion, in the media space, come out and try and defend him initially, saying, oh, he's got a campaign to him, blah, 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 to now for her to turn around and say, oh, actually, that was really bad, wasn't it? Like, Sunak, your advisors are honestly the worst I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, I would not write on my CV that if I was a campaigner for Rishi Sunak, because if I was in a hiring position and I saw that on your CV, I ain't hiring you, dog, I'll be honest.
Or people, including people who would regard themselves as friends of Rishi Sunak. I was speaking to one of them this morning, saying, this is awful.
Right.
This is grim. This is going really, really badly. There are, of course, people who
smoking that Sunak pack, fam,
still are loyal to him and say, look, our inheritance was terrible. Things have been...
Who did you inherit it from? Who did you inherit the situation from? Blood was Chancellor not even that long ago. If the economy was bad, that's down to him. He was literally the Chancellor through the worst of it. Honestly, it's just walking into hell with these points. I can't believe she's trying to come up with this nonsense.
Awful things have gone wrong. It's not all his fault. We're trying to do our best. There's still 4 weeks to go in the campaign. Remember that. But it does feel to me like this D-Day blunder has become a real moment. It's going to be very difficult for them to fight back from. News.
It's just nuts. Like, even the defences she's putting up of him, it's just crazy to me. And they go on.
Ranks that we might reach the crossover moment.
Oh yeah, this great new
This is the big fear as we hurtle towards the end of our time together, that reform might actually tip over the Conservatives in one or two polls in the coming days.
I was very struck in last night's debate, and actually generally the Conservatives have kind of been trying to pretend he doesn't exist. They haven't been taking the fight to reform. Penny Mordaunt didn't do that at all yesterday. She just tried to
sort of ignored him. Yeah.
Exactly. She just tried to focus on Labour. Whether that...
I mean, that's what happens when you're the chasing pack. You've got to focus on the front runner, which Mordaunt tried to do. It didn't go well for her. The only one who really managed to do well, actually everyone else managed to do well, apart from, I think, Mordaunt. She did okay, but it's just it was too aggressive and too niggly. I would say, it looked off, if I'm going to be honest. But again, like, the Tories should be scared. Like, it's over them. They've cooked the economy completely.
That is sustainable if opinion polls continue to show the distance between Reform and the Conservatives is slim to zero. I'm not so sure, because I think Conservative candidates who fear that Reform not necessarily will beat them, but will get enough votes that they certainly lose to Labour, will want a more direct
and we will see, Reform. Because in the next couple of days there are intense fears across Tory ranks that we might reach the crossover moment.
Oh yeah, this is
the big fear as we hurtle towards the end of our time together.
I really hate the way they put these clips together, honestly. It just repeats.
That Reform might actually tip over the Conservatives in one or two polls in the coming days.
That'd be nuts, if Reform do it, because if that does happen, I wonder how many Conservative voters will say, "I'm going to vote Reform," because they've got the best chance of winning in my area. Because there were UKIP voters I know, because I remember speaking to one at the time. He was actually my friend at that point. He said he would have voted UKIP, but because Cameron promised that EU referendum, he voted for Conservatives instead. And I do wonder if the polling shows that Reform are up. I wonder how many Conservative voters would switch over to Reform.
We'll see. Of course, polls only suggest a snapshot. They don't tell you exactly what's going to happen at the end of an election.
This is also an important point to remember out of polling. She's right there, that a poll is just a snapshot of how people feel on a given day at a specific moment in time. That's it. That's why you look at trends and patterns, and at the moment the trends are holding.
But somebody said to me yesterday, if that happens, there will be complete panic.
Newscast from the BBC.
I'd love to see it. I would love to see it, because at the moment it's looking bad. You know, you got Sunak in crisis, CCHQ now fears Reform poll crossover, 93 Canada wipeout, PM despondent. He's been shying away from the media as well since the whole D-Day fiasco. Obviously at time of recording, cabinet ministers say snap election was a catastrophic error. They question his judgment, competence, strategy in tatters. This is the guy who had the slick media campaign, especially during during COVID. You know, he had slick media presentations and things like that. What the hell has, this has been, like I said, one of the worst run campaigns in the history of the game. I don't know where the kind of slick chancellor has gone. I think some people are saying that when he lost to Liz Truss, it kind of broke him a bit. Maybe, I mean, losing to her would be a heartbreak, but I think if it did break him, he wouldn't have ran to be prime minister again, if that makes sense. But I don't know what bro is thinking. Maybe he's got his eye on California and he's just looking to kind of make as much money as he can here off kind of procurement and things like that. And I think Ash Sarkar is right when, I know I said it at the time, that, Sunak and Hunt, it's a crisis management team, a crisis that obviously the Conservative Party have made, and they are managing it very poorly. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.